Look, if you're a founder who's worked with marketing agencies before and haven't worked out how to manage their performance, then this video is going to save you thousands. You see, most founders get this wrong. They throw money at marketing agencies, but they don't understand that agencies need to be managed. You can't leave an agency to manage themselves and self-report on their performance. And from my experience, there is a huge difference between what you need from them and what they'll sell to you. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to avoid this trap, a trap that I see so many founders make. See, here's the reality. 90% of marketing agencies are actually more than capable of performing well for your company. But they're lazy. And this isn't a dig at marketing agencies, because anyone will take the easy route and become lazy if they're not managed properly. And the reason most founders fall into this trap is they don't understand how to manage the performance of a marketing agency, more specifically, the performance of a performance marketing function. Get this wrong and you'll burn through cash and waste loads of time. And the only thing you'll have to show for it is some glossy reports. If you get it right, however, you'll have a predictable system for growing your business, an asset that will support your sales function for years to come. See, right now I'm working with multiple agencies in my business, but I hardly take a look at any of their reports. You know, the reports that they send to me. I'm actually only interested in my reports, in what I have decided is important to measure. Why? Because most of the metrics that agencies report on are vanity metrics. Their job is to make themselves look good, and vanity metrics are dangerous for your business. The only metrics worth reporting on are the ones that lead to new business. Sanity metrics. If you're new here, my name is James Jacob. I built my company SiteLink from 0 to £15 million in revenue, and I'm in the blessed position of only working on the business 1 day a week. My focus is now purely on strategy. My job is to realize our vision of getting to 100 mil by 2030. And with all that free time, I'm now building my personal brand. And that includes sharing these videos. Why? Because I want to help small businesses succeed. But going a bit deeper, my passion lies in helping conscious founders with their business. You see, the world needs more businesses run by conscious founders. Why? Because they are driven by purpose, not just profit. And I want to work with people who are going out to make the world a better place. But to make that impact, you need to master the fundamentals of business growth. You see, the numbers don't lie. According to Google's own advertising benchmark data, the average small business Google Ads account wastes 76% of their budget on keywords that never convert. Think about that. That's £760 for every £1,000 spent. It goes straight down the drain. But what gets worse is the Federation of Small Businesses reports that UK small businesses are spending an average of £3,000 per month on digital marketing agencies, with over 40% saying they can't rely or clearly measure on the return on investment. And for a growing business, that's not just lost cash, it's lost opportunity. Cash and time you could be using to actually grow your business. Now, it's a good idea to start with the fundamental truths about marketing. The truth is, the professionals, who are the agencies, make things more complicated than they are. And yes, it does need to get more detailed over time, but not at the beginning, in the early stages of business. See, most agencies can't simplify this because they have been trained by a book, by a degree, and not from growing an actual business. Simply, there are two types of marketing that matter. Number one is branding, which is building long-term awareness and trust in the mind of your audience. And number two is performance marketing, driving immediate measurable results that lead to sales. That's it. And the key that most founders miss is you need both, but not at the same time. When you're under approximately £150,000 in revenue a year, you need to focus most of your budget on performance marketing. Why? Because you need cash and customers now. Now, I'm not saying that branding isn't important. It is, it's crucial. But here's how to think about it. Your brand is not your website or your logo. It's not the colors you pick or a few quotes that you might put up on the wall. These things are all part of the makeup of your brand, but they're assets to utilize. They're not the actual brand. Your brand has roots in who you are as a person, in what you value, in how you work. And what that does, that comes out as a promise you make to your customers, to your staff, and how you deliver on that promise. Your brand is the way your company behaves in the marketplace, both internally and externally, with your staff and with your customers. And your business's brand must have its roots in the core values you have as a person, as well as your company's mission. I'll give you an example. Back in 2022, when we pivoted out of the physical waste management business into the brokerage model, SiteLink, we had to build a brand for the brokerage, SiteLink. So I sat down with my younger brother, who is my business partner, and I asked him what made us get to where we are. We thought about this, about the characteristics we embodied, the traits, and how we were, their attitudes towards our work that drove our success. And we did this because we wanted to hire people and have our service delivered on similar lines when we grew. And we worked out that our core values are to develop a growth mindset, to do that little bit more, to make it happen, and to take responsibility. These were true to our core, to who we were as people and how we conducted ourselves. Every part of the business, including our brand, ties back to these values, especially in our recruitment process. But here's the key. These values and the building of SiteLink brand was an inward-out process. We didn't start with a fancy website or glossy brochures. We had those things, but we didn't spend too much time or money on them. Because we had a way of generating leads through our lead generation website, we focused on recruitment and bringing the best people into our business who aligned to the values that I mentioned earlier. We then put them to work, paid them well, and gave them the sky to aim for. And they delivered the results, and our performance speaks for itself. So my questions around branding, that fundamental element of your brand, is what makes you different from the rest? And what has got you the success that you're surrounded by now? Reflect on those answers, because they'll give you a clue into how to build your business going forward. More specifically, in how to hire people that align so you can build a high-performing team. Now let's get into the heart of performance marketing. This is why you're here, into how we manage performance marketing and how we can manage the agencies you're working with. The foundations of success lie in both measuring results and optimizing for future improvements. This is how to maximize your marketing spend. And here's the outline to the framework I use with every single agency we work with. Number 1, setting up the KPIs and reporting. I set up the KPIs and I set up the reporting. I don't leave this up to the agency. This is my responsibility to manage, not the agency's. Their job is to step into my world, not the other way around. Now, later I'm going to show you a sheet that I use, and it outlines the very basics you must measure. At the very least, there's 9 things you need to measure. Ad spend, that's the amount of money spent on ads. Total users from ads, the number of new people that visit your website that have come from those ads. Total leads, which is the number of people that have left their details or get in touch and inquiring about your services. A phone call or a web form that could be filled out. Number 4 is the cost per lead, and this is a calculation where you take your ad spend and divide it by the number of leads. Number 5 is the total new customers or acquisitions, which is how many of the leads have turned into paying customers. Number 6 is the cost per new customer or acquisition. Again, this is a calculation where you take your ad spend and divide it by the number of new customers. Number 7 is the total revenue from those new customers. This is the revenue generated by those customers within a predetermined time. 8th is ROAS, return on ad spend. This is the amount of revenue your ad spend has generated, and I like to see it as a decimal. For example, if you spend £100 on ads and generate £250 revenue from your new customers from those ads, you have a 2.5 ROAS, which shows that every pound spent in ads gets £2.50 in revenue. And the last but not least is probably the most important, customer lifetime value. Now, this is an average, and you need to understand a few things here. The average revenue per order, the purchase frequency, do they buy once a month, once every quarter, twice a month, twice a quarter, whatever, and how long a customer remains a customer. Now, I don't want to complicate matters without getting into a scenario and showing you a working example, which I'm going to do that shortly. So let's just leave that at that. But your customer lifetime value is crucial. Now, let's get into how to manage the agencies. So you want to set up a weekly reporting structure. Always set up your views and data sets in a weekly viewpoint and measure them weekly. Again, we're going to do this shortly so you can see an example, but Mondays are dedicated to reviewing the previous week's results as a whole. We are updating the sheet daily, but we're reviewing it formally every week. And as we go along towards the middle of the week, we're constantly looking for opportunities to optimize. So you should be having continuous optimization updates with the people or the person managing the ads. And what you do here is you look at what tweaks can be made according to what is performing well or what isn't. And then you go and have a back and forth with the person or the team managing the campaigns. This is the iteration part. The daily updates and weekly optimizations are key to the success. Rarely do you find a campaign that works without testing and tweaking. It needs to be done in short weekly sprints to gauge quick results, because this allows you to stop what is not working quickly and gauge what tweaks show promise so you can double down on immediately. But most will give an agency money and let them report monthly on performance. And what's worse, they may present that monthly report well into the next month, which could be 6 weeks old. It's not on the pulse of when things are happening and when things need to be tweaked. I will say it again. Performance marketing is an iterative process, and those iterations must be done in short weekly sprints. And the last thing you need to do to manage this whole thing is put monthly budget review. This is where you look at your financial budget and what you've predetermined as ad spend, and you compare the monthly performance of the ad spend versus revenue generated. It's okay to go over the budget if you're outperforming your revenue target. So let me show you exactly how this works in practice. Let's get into it. So as you can see in the template view, this organizes the KPIs into 4 key categories: the traffic, leads, new customers, and ROAS, which is return on ad spend. It basically creates a daily tracking system Monday through to Saturday and gives you a weekly total. As you can see, the performance indicators that we're measuring will be the ad spend, the total users, the total leads, the total new customers, and the total revenue from those new customers. Now you get your ad spend from your Google Ads or your Meta campaigns. You get the users from GA4, whether that's Google Analytics or again, your Meta campaigns, or anywhere that's connected your landing page or your website to your ads platforms. Leads, new customers, and revenue from new customers comes from your CRM. This is what I talk about when we have to follow the data through to the CRM to keep track, because what you're basically doing is you're bringing together all this data into one place so you can analyze it. Key calculations from this data that we're plugging in will be the cost per lead, your lead to new customer conversion, which is a percentage, and the cost per new customer, which is a calculation, and then the ROAS, the ROAS, which is the return on ad spend. This system isn't just about tracking numbers. It's a comprehensive management tool, and that enables you to make better decision making. It improves performance and provides growth opportunities whilst maintaining efficiency and profitability. This is key. You don't just want to spend money on something and not manage how effective it is. And the effectiveness of the campaigns will be determined by the efficiency and the profitability. That enables you to then reinvest the money back in and get bigger. It creates clear KPIs for marketing team performance. You know, you can look at this and say, right, how are we going to make objective performance reviews? If we're going to review people on their performance, this gives you very clear we performed or we didn't. It allows you to see the potential scalability of marketing efforts. So can you get bigger? Have you hit a glass ceiling, or is there more opportunity to come? And it also identifies bottlenecks, areas where you can actually see where things are going wrong. So we're going to jump into some data now and start to populate some data to give you an example into the daily views. So into the daily view, this is what we want to do every single day, is populate each entry, essentially. So your Google Ads, the users, the leads, the new customers, and the revenue from new customers. And you track that through every single day and you total it up for the week. And this allows you to see, or at least highlight, key areas that need improving in the marketing sales funnel. So what you basically want to be doing here is you want to be tracking every single day all of these key measurements, and then having that iterative approach to, right, what's going on here? What's going there? I can see this increasing or see that decreasing. If you're going to run some tests, you can see very quickly if that test is doing well or not, or if it needs tweaking. So this is why the daily view is very important, but you cannot analyze this as such from a micro perspective, but you want to go a bit more macro. You want to go a bit more strategic when you're actually looking at your views, which is why you then go into the weekly view. And the weekly view is when you can actually see the performance of it. And this is where you really go into the visibility and the return on investment. So as we can see, week 1, week 2, week 3, which have pulled from your daily views so you can see week on week movements, and it also gives you an average for the period. That first 4-week block, this gives you an average. So you total up the averages. So you can start seeing on average, we're spending £1,325 on ads. That gives us an average of 890 users. The leads have increased. We've got 214, so on and so forth. So if we now analyze this data, what can we actually see? And we're not going to analyze it using the daily views. This is where we're in the weeds of it all, trying to go through the management and the performance management of it on a day-to-day basis. But as I say, we actually want to look at the analysis on a weekly perspective. So what can we see on a weekly perspective? As we can see, our ad spend has increased. We're spending more on ads week on week. We started at 1,100, we're now at 1,550. The users have increased. Subsequently, we've got more users because we're paying more and we're spending more in ads. This has increased as well. So 612 users week 1 to 1,158 users in week 4. That's a good climb in users. The leads have also increased. So those users to the site or the landing page have resulted in leads. People inquiring into your business, which should get tracked in your CRM, which then enables you to, we've had 188 leads this week, 238 leads in week 4. And what that basically does is because you've got the ad spend and number of leads, you can work out a cost per lead, a calculation. So what we can see here is everything is on the up. Looking at the ad spend, the users and the leads, everything is on the up. But what's also on the up is the cost per lead. So you can see we're actually spending more money at week 4 when we've got more leads than we were in week 1 when we had less leads. So that will show me that there's something not quite right or something that needs interrogating or fixing. Why are we spending more money per lead as we get bigger? We haven't got efficient as we've got bigger. So we need to ask a question there for the marketing agency. The next bit is the total new customers. So this now goes into the sales element. So how well we're selling or explaining our services and closing these leads. Essentially, your new customers has gone from 47 all the way to 53. Now, considering the increase in total leads from 188 to 238, 47 to 53 isn't such a big jump. I would have expected more. So what this shows me, and you can see that in the lead to new customer conversion, we were converting 25% of the leads when we had 47 to 24% when we had 50 to 23%, 51. And this is a simple illustration, but it allows you to see the trends. We can see here that we're now converting 22% of our leads into new customers, which is great. But why were we doing 25% in week 1? Maybe there's an issue where the sales team can't deal with as many leads, or the quality of leads aren't there. So we need to go in and interrogate that further. Are the quality of leads as good as they were in week 4 as they were in week 1? Salespeople, have we got enough time to get back to these leads? Speed to lead is so important. So we might have been getting back to leads in 10 minutes here. Is it gone up to 30 minutes here? And what that basically gives you from these figures, because you've got the amount you're spending in ads and you've got the amount of new customers, is the cost per new customer. And this is crucial. So you can see the cost per new customer is increasing, cost per ads is increasing because we're not being as efficient as we're getting bigger. But what that basically tells me is key when it comes to our customer lifetime value. And we'll get to that in a minute. But basically what you want to also track is you want to see your return on ad spend. So your total revenue from those new customers. So you basically say, in this period, we've had a total of 201 new customers. Those new customers, 47 new customers week 1, 50, 51, 53, all the way to week 4. In week 1, the new customers have spent 2,707. By week 2, those new customers in week 1 and week 2 have spent 3,193. By week 3, the new customers from week 1, week 2, week 3 have spent 3,300. And then again in week 4, the customers from week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 have now spent 3,745. So it's an accumulative calculation. And what that allows you to do is to say, right, well, we have now spent on average £1,325 on ads a week. And we've got on average £3,236 a week from our new customers. Well, that gives us a return on ad spend of £2.44. For every pound that we spend in this scenario, we're getting back £2.44 in revenue, which is great. And the bit that I get to now, which is the customer lifetime value, which gives us clear visibility that this is working, is you say, right, well, my customer lifetime value is, you've worked this out beforehand, you know how much your customer lifetime value is, and we can see here that it's worth £675. And we've based that on 3 calculations. The customer lifetime in months. So this customer in this example spends 9 months. They last with us for 9 months. They spend with us for 9 months. The average purchases per month is 1.25 times. They would spend on average 1.25 times for 9 months before they leave. And the average order value each time they spend is £60. So that gives you a total of £675 as a lifetime value. So you say to yourself, am I willing to spend an average of £26.37 for a new customer to come through my front door if they're going to spend over the next 9 months £675? And the answer is of course. Obviously, we want to try and reduce this figure, which is the cost per new customer, become more efficient, more effective in how we're selling, in how we're marketing, and ideally look to increase the customer lifetime value. Can we get them to spend for more months or more times in a month? But this example gives you clear visibility on your marketing return on investment. And that is so important. And it also gives you questions to go and ask your team when it comes to performance management, whether that's in marketing or sales. So to summarize, the core essence of this message is, number one, don't let agencies performance manage themselves. Own your performance. Always have direct access to ad accounts so you can pull the data. Get on top of the data and own your analytics. Use the sheet I showed you and follow the marketing data through to sales by keeping control of your customer data in your CRM. Number two, don't accept vanity metrics. Impressions mean nothing without traffic. The point of traffic is to get people to engage. Engagement is actually worthless without a conversion. And conversions are pointless if they don't point towards a sale. And that's the flow you're aiming for. And again, your job is to drive revenue growth. Remember, the core responsibility of marketing isn't about pretty branding or clever copy. It's about generating leads for your business. Marketing should drive growth in sales. In the early days, focus on performance marketing first and branding second. If you found this valuable, hit subscribe and check out my latest video. It's called The Mindset That Built My Company to £15 million. I spent a lot of time going deep into the mindset, but also give away the main tactic that got my business to 7 figures in just 3 years. Never forget, you're more powerful than you know. Your potential is infinite. Until next time.